Hello, pickleball world. My goodness, Major League Pickleball Mesa 2023 did not disappoint. And we have so many thoughts and so many different vantage points on the event that we just witnessed, which we will dive into in just a moment. But first, a quick thanks to our sponsors, Pro XR, the official paddle of MLP, the only paddle custom fit for your grip, Knockaround, the official sunglass partner of MLP, quality shades that won't break the bank, and Aura Organic, the official nutrition partner of MLP. Transform your health with plant-based nutrition from Aura. As always, every week, I'm one of your hosts, Mish McMahon, former Michigan volleyballer, current sports broadcaster, one of the voices of Major League Pickleball. I was there calling the event this weekend, and of course, joined by my friends, no longer possessing the infamous mullet, sad day, former pro and Olympic volleyballer, future pro pickleballer. He is the father of 5. Our Cali bro, our resident Cali bro, Casey Patterson, our faithful viewer this weekend, which we have to get the scoop from his perspective. And then, of course, Tyson Apostle, who was in the crowd, hyping people up, arms in the air. Just kidding. Not
probably,
really,
yeah.
Probably. I got to see him for a half a second. It was the best part of my
Was
day.
it? Thank you, Michelle. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think there's an angle here. I don't know what it is, but...
Anyways, he was on Survivor 4 times. You recognize the face. He's all over the place. He's a pickleball fashionista. Mm-hmm. We know him. We love him. And so, guys, let's start with MLP Mesa 2023. So we had 3 different vantage points. I was calling it.
Yeah.
Tyson, you were amongst the people.
In the fans, yes. I was a fan this weekend, yes.
Man of the people.
And then Casey was one of our viewers. So
I was at church, live streaming secretly with my hands down, looking like I was pretending to read scriptures, and I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I was watching live. Then I was changing the baby's diaper. I had it with me the whole time. I mean, it was...
Wait, during church you were changing the baby's diaper?
Oh, yeah,
like you got to go out to the lobby and stuff?
Which
nice.
was like
that's
amazing
a good play.
I could really focus.
You're like, oh, the baby pooped again.
Well,
Sorry,
that's
I gotta go.
What you do is you secretly pinch the baby's leg and you get him to cry. Babe, I got to take him out.
Yeah, too loud. Too loud.
Take him out.
Yeah.
Baby pooped.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it this time.
She's like, wow, he's being really helpful with the poop this day.
Church is like the one time where each parent is scrambling to be the one to change the diaper.
Yeah, like,
I'll get it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll be back in a couple hours. I'll change the diaper. Oh, we're out of diapers. I got to go home.
Yeah, what happened? I had to go home.
I had to go home.
Too messy. So, Casey, how do you? Because I was picturing you like hunched over, like in the pew.
Yeah,
looking down in your lap like you're asleep, because that's what I would do is fake like a nap and then look down at my phone. But you made it look like you were like, do you have a Bible with cut out so that it's like, and then you have your phone in there? Yeah,
the cover. So you got the scriptures and then the cover's actually bigger. So it was like in there. So it was covered. And then if I had to switch to when we were singing hymns, I had to throw it in the hymnal, So
okay.
It was kind of I'd have a stealthy transfer,
I love it.
That's hilarious. Casey's special Bible.
Yeah.
We like that.
Perfect.
You should start selling that, copywriting that.
Just a full cutout.
Full cutout.
Dude, this is actually genius.
With a really small, maybe like a really small earpiece, like the FBI, CIA, where you just get a little audible. Right. Yeah. Just a little something.
A pickleball Bible, is that what we'll call it? But
yeah.
Basically, you can make it for every phone model.
Yes.
And then put it on Amazon.
Custom.
Love it.
Easy.
Yeah. Easy. So
not blasphemous at all.
So easy. Okay.
Easy.
Yeah. The weekend was crazy. Like, I remember pulling up on Sunday right before I saw you, Michelle. Mm-hmm. And as my family got out of the car, about a quarter mile away from the venue, I hear just the crowd erupting, just like going berserko. And I was like, I've never heard this in pickleball before. Like, so I was like, we gotta go. But I have like a 4-year-old who's just like, the fastest she can walk is like skipping and then stopping to pick up, to investigate whatever piece of garbage is on the ground.
And the faster you want to go, the slower she goes on purpose. Yeah.
And then I like have to pick her up, and then the other one's like, Dad, you got to carry me too. I was like, you're 7. Why? So like, I couldn't get in there fast enough.
It was so loud.
Yeah.
The entire weekend. I mean, it's obviously generated a ton of excitement with the expansion happening with the new team owners, but this just felt different. It felt like the best ever. I
So
felt like
many
we
fans.
so many fans. And in Mesa, Arizona, I mean, it's pretty far out there as far as like being, I mean, you're more familiar with the area, but the place is huge. That complex
it's so
insane.
rad.
Yeah.
So insane. It's like a playground.
I've driven by it when I was out there for a baseball tournament for my kid last year. And I'm like, I have to just drive around it and feel its aura. Because my buddy coaches beach volleyball there that plays on the Pro Tour because they have everything there. I drive around
So
and I'm
cool.
like, this is like Universal Studios / like a Disneyland theme park for sports. It's just insane. It's huge.
Yes.
It's amazing.
And it was so fun. It was so fun.
It was. It was actually really, really perfect. Like the stands were full pretty much the entire time for every single match. The matches outside that weren't even on the center court were awesome. Tons of stands there too. And it was just like even like I imagine as a pro, you're walking through that crowd and people are like cheering for you and like patting you on the shoulder as you're walking through. You got to feel like a superstar.
Yeah.
Like it would be it'd be like Casey walking through a volleyball crowd or me like at like some like Survivor fan thing.
Yeah, where everybody
Like,
knows. Like everyone's
everybody
there
knows
for what
you.
you're doing
Yeah.
or what you're at. That's how our events are set up too. It's like a huge stadium, right? And then outside courts. And if you got to play in an outside court, you're almost hiding in the players' tent as long as you can, because once you go out, everyone's there. And so it's actually awesome and then terrible at the same time. He's like, I want to get to the court and play. I got to focus and get ready to go. And then you feel bad if you're not signing balls or whatever and taking pictures, but like that kind of vibe though is so special because you're going to get a very, very core, like loyal audience because they feel like they're connected because they have so much access to you.
Yes.
Versus
accessibility.
like tennis where they come out of the tunnel, the gladiator tunnel, and then that's all you see of them. And then they're back in and gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was even at like 9 a.m. I mean, that first semifinal matchup on Sunday at 9 a.m. We were last week, talking about those early start times.
But that was the Hustlers and the Pioneers, right?
The Hustler, yes.
So
the Hustlers and Pioneers
started at Sunday at 9 a.m. Yeah, so it was
So they're
Tyson
semi, right?
You have to rack my brain back. I just think it was a
It
whole
was
weekend.
Rafa,
I covered some
Hewitt,
of it.
Tyson
Yes.
McGuffin, Anna Bright, and Lacey Schneeman versus the Seattle Pioneers, which were the Utah crew of Tyler Leung, Megan Dizon, and Etta Wright with Ben Johns. And this is what was interesting is, so we went over all the, go ahead, Michelle.
The other match I was thinking of was the New Jersey Fives against the Hustlers.
Yes,
And
that was later in the day.
Later on in the day.
Yeah, and
So fun.
we went.
I want to talk about that later on.
Yeah,
Just
so we came and watched
file that
that.
away.
And I mean, I walked in on Thursday, and I walked in with Thomas Shields, owner of the Dink, founder of the Dink, and we walked in, and I looked at Thomas, and I was like, this is just going to be like, I'm looking at the teams and I'm like, it's so hard to decide on a team, but it's just going to be a Ben Johns victory, right? Or a Anna Lee Waters victory. Like one of those two teams is winning. And he's like, yeah, probably. That's probably what's going to happen, which is great. They're great players, but like it does take some of the excitement out of it all when it's just like so predictable.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And it did not happen. The matches were insane all weekend long. And some of them could have gone either way, like dream breakers, close dream breakers. So it was.
Yeah, that one came down to a dream breaker.
Yeah.
Right. That morning one or was it the quarterfinals, those Saturday evening matches to go to the semis are always, for me, even in our sport, are always the best. It's a Saturday night. Everyone's like super amped. They're fighting for their lives to get. They only have one more match to get to the semis.
Yes.
And you have the most magical rallies, those Saturday evening matches where everyone's just like, what is happening? There's something about that pocket of a bracket that just make it epic. It's always like that in every sport I've seen. It's just like, these are some of the greatest rallies I've ever seen in my life.
Dude.
So true.
It was
one of
insane.
my friends that was watching our broadcast was like, I thought the quarterfinals were scripted because the players were like so intense and like so fired up every point. And that's the matchup that I'm thinking of, the Hustlers against the Fives on the quarterfinal matchup on Saturday.
Yes.
And the moment like the Fives ended up losing, which like they had the most probably enthusiastic sector of the crowd, New York Hustlers maybe close behind them. Mm-hmm. But the dream breaker between Anna Lee and Tyson McGuffin, like you have a 16-year-old little showboat out there just like terrorizing this guy that's been in pickleball for how long? Tyson's been a veteran of the sport for years.
Covered in tats. And, you know, like if
and she lit him up like 3 points in a row. The crowd was going crazy. And I'm like, what other sport do you have a 16-year-old female athlete that is just destroying? Yeah. I mean, not
in my sport.
The Hustlers.
There's no,
exactly. I mean,
I would be laughing on the court. Like, really? Like, there's no way.
But like you just is unheard of, and like that was like to me like the moment where I was just looking around. I'm like, this sport is so freaking awesome. Like you just like, and kudos to Tyson McGuffin. It's a lose-lose situation for him, right? Because if he rips the winner on Anna Lee, it's like
you're like, cool, dude, you're a bully, right?
It seems like it's a lose-lose for him, and he took it like a champ, and they ended up winning. But Anna Lee Waters just ripping 3 straight winners. I was like, this is freaking awesome.
Did it?
I just
didn't they have like a hands battle in the like one of the first 1 or 2 points, and I think Tyson was like on the verge of cramping / it was kind of starting to go, and then he kind of stutter steps and it looks like he rolls his ankle and he starts limping and his calf just like is seizing up, right?
Locks up.
And so he's like he's battling through those points with her. I'm like, oh my gosh, he has Anna Lee. He's cramping. He's also like the dog right now where he's just like, there's no way he's going to be like, oh, I'm injured. I'm going to go like tell everybody. He's just like a warrior through that. And she, on top of that, even if he was healthy, she was unloading on like backhand drive. She was unreal.
She's so good.
For him, it was just like a Spartan moment, like a Braveheart. He was just like, freedom. He had to battle through that. It was so rad to watch. And then Rafa coming through at the very end and just being like, winners win. I mean, it was insane. It was so rad to watch him ball out those last couple points. He's such a gnarly dude.
Oh my gosh. That team was so fun. Hey, by the way, I was almost right on my pick. The Hustlers almost won it all.
That was your team.
That was your team. Listen, did you see? So we posted our social media clip last week where we praised the Hustlers. That was your team that you picked.
Yeah.
We had a fan and a listener be like, that's the worst take. They're not, I don't see them winning any games. So then I fired back with a question mark after they'd made like either, I think the semifinals. After they made the semifinals, I just sent a question mark. And he wrote back, he's like, oh, that's easy to say after like it's all said and done. I was like, it is. And also like I didn't predict the Hustlers. I don't think I picked the Hustlers. I was like, I picked them that their energy would be a factor. That's what I said. And so I was like, so, you know, maybe a less confident man would say, yeah, I picked the Hustlers the whole time. I don't think I picked the Hustlers. I said their energy would be a factor. Michelle picked the Hustlers. She's the genius.
Right. Which is the reason why you commented and said that was a terrible choice. And now I'm following following up for Michelle, making sure you realize that you look stupid. Right?
Yeah. So anyways, Casey, I wanted to go back to you and saying if you had a 16-year-old girl on the other side of the net smashing you in volleyball, you would just be laughing. Like those teenagers got into the faces. Like we see the finger wag from Hayden. So like, what are you doing on the other side of the court as a 35-year-old, 6'6" dude? Like, are you like, is that like, does that bother you? Does that get under your skin? Is it hilarious? Is it like what? Cause I'm looking at it and I'm like, not intimidated, intimidating. Like I'm looking at that and I'm seeing, Hayden Patrick Quinn, love the kid, but like you got Ray-Bans on, you got I doubt real gold chain, but a chain on, and I'm not intimidated. I'm laughing. I'm thinking, okay, that's fun. Let's do this.
Yeah. I feel like first of all, I was the Tyson McGuffin of beach volleyball in a sense, where I was the guy that everyone came to watch, whether I was playing well or not, because I was exciting, and I was talking to the crowd, and I was like screaming, and I was
Do you
hitting
think
my
they
chest
wanted
too.
to also see your humility a little bit and
so I
witness
think-
that firsthand?
Yeah, it's entertaining. Who doesn't want to see you like lose and like watch how you deal with it? Like
Yeah.
there's a 16-year-old
Yeah.
girl beating you. Let's see his
Yeah,
reaction.
see.
Is he gonna throw his paddle? You know what I mean? Like everyone wants to see what's going on. Is he gonna smash on the ground? Like that's what people would do if I was playing like a qualifier that made it through in the first round, and they're like, well, let's go see what happens, just because they want to. If we don't win or we're not paying attention, they could get some points on us. But I think for Tyson, like what would be going through my mind is like, first off, I would probably say you're welcome to the crowd. I'd be like, you're welcome, because the way that I play the sport makes this moment happen, because everybody wants to beat me, because they know it will be entertaining, because they know that if Annalie's hitting winners on me, that's what everyone wants to see. They want to see me lose, in a sense, as much as possible, because I'm going to make it entertaining. So for me, that's the first thing I would say was like, yes.
I thought he was going to say, because I'm the best.
Okay.
Because I'm
But then of course that's gonna I'm gonna be a little bit irritated, but also I think it switches really quickly into, when you're an entertainer, no matter if you're winning or losing, you appreciate that moment that's like really, really exciting, and you take it for what it is, and you go, all right, that was good. Because if everyone's entertained, you're stoked. That's because that's what we do, right? And so if a match is boring, that was actually the hardest match for me to play. There's no way. I would talk to the crowd. I'm like, are you bored too? Okay, I got to change something up. What should we do? And I would just ask for it, like, what do you want me to do? Serve middle, sky ball, jump serve? What do you want me to do? Because I'm bored, And so I think as entertainers, we live for that. And so I think Tyson's just like, all right, this is why we play,
It's got to be exhausting playing that role all the time, though.
It is
Every
very
time
exhausting.
you compete.
It makes you kind of like,
out of you.
Yeah, it does. And you don't look forward to it as much, unless you look forward to the big moments more. And then the like first round ones, you're like, do I have to play? I don't want to. I don't want to
It's
play.
also a certain personality. Like there's personalities that get fueled by the attention and the energy.
Right.
And then there's personalities who get exhausted by it.
Yeah.
And I think so. I think that, but I also think like if you're a person who fuels off of that, then you're going to lean into it more, and then it's going to happen more often. And I think that McGuffin is most probably that type of person. I see Rafa Hewitt being that type of person, where they bring the energy, knowing they're going to get the energy back, which fuels them more.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
Rafa Hewitt was so fun to watch, too. He was literally built for Major League Pickleball.
He was.
I mean, this man was created to play in these events.
He is.
Like, what was it? It was against the Fives that he was like the hero of that singles
right at
battle.
The end, yeah.
Like, it was.
I mean, all of them, like the Hustlers, like Anna Bright.
And Lacey Schneeman even.
Lacey Schneeman.
Coming up huge Sunday in the semifinals. It was like a different hero stepped up every time.
Yeah.
Like they needed that.
Yeah, it was awesome. Casey, you talked about like people rooting for and against you. Michelle, back to this right here. Were you watching teams and being like, oh, I hope they lose because of these people and then I hope these guys win? And because I found myself doing that, but if I broke down each individual player, I'd be like, oh, I want to see them lose on this team, but I want to see them win on the same team. And so like everywhere I went, I was like, I was like, which team do I want to win? Because I want 3 of those people to win, but one of them to lose. And here I want And then finally I was like, it doesn't matter. All these games are great.
All these games are great, and I have no control. I think for me, it was like I just wanted the most fun matches for me to call. All of them were extremely fun, but it's a lot to be talking for 8 hours straight, especially when you're in the play-by-play seat, literally carrying the entire broadcast. Like you have to know what you're saying in every single moment, which is fun for me. Like I enjoy that, and I certainly signed up for it. It's just an intense work day, but the most fun for me were the high-intensity energy matches when you had the Hustlers and the New Jersey Fives on the court. Call them what you want. What was it, Rafa or Tyson? One of them was like, "We refuse to lose to kids."
That's so funny.
We've got to start figuring out like the delineation here with like TV interviews and like the pickleball interviews, because like once we get on like CBS and ESPN, I'm like,
it's got to
change. Can't be like barking.
Or saying a joke. A lot of them will tell a
right.
joke first and be like, "Oh, just kidding. I was being sarcastic. Here's my real answer." It's like, that's fine if one person does that once in a while, but you can't all do it all the time.
I'm literally launching a broadcast coaching business off of this. Seriously, I'm serious, 100% serious. But I will say the most fun match, like when the crowd is engaged, when the players are like the passion and the intensity and the energy, no doubt. Like and I think the Hustlers did a nice job like harnessing that. Like there were moments where they got down, but not too down, and they were able to like channel in that energy in the moments that they needed it the most. The New Jersey Fives were popping off. I mean, all the players, freaking Ryan Harwood was on his feet the entire time,
the whole time,
chirping the refs. I think at one point he stormed down to Brooks to be like, "You had to change that rule." Like, I mean, and to
where's
like,
the tournament supervisor?
Gary Vee was there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then all of the Fives people that had like
their
bought
posse.
NFTs and stuff. Yeah, they were all sitting behind there. Yeah.
Yes. They had a whole section of the stadium worked up. So it's like, it's fun. I like a good underdog story. So like I have to be technically unbiased as a broadcaster, but I also really love the 6th seed coming out and making it to the finals. Like I liked the upset over the Pioneers. No offense, Dave Fleming, a good friend of mine, the general manager of that team. I just, who doesn't? When you see the top 2 draft picks go down, it's like, you can't help. I want everyone to succeed. I'm really not here to like pick losers or somebody I want to see lose. I just like seeing like people that were not supposed to succeed. If that makes sense. And not to say that like the Hustlers are obviously filled with incredible players. It's not like they're a true underdog, but in the tournament, they were the 6th seed and they weren't technically supposed to make it to that point. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't have picked the Mad Drops to be that dominant as they were. They didn't even lose. They didn't lose a game.
They lost one
until game. They literally, they didn't lose a game until the finals. Like Irina Tereshchenko and Thomas Wilson did not play a game in mixed doubles because they didn't have to the entire day. Which, can we talk about Irina Tereshchenko? Just the X factor.
I think let's talk about the Mad Drops the whole way around. Let's talk about Irina Tereshchenko first, but like what made that team so successful? Yeah,
I think that's what everyone's trying to figure out so they can map it for their next draft round. But to me, Julian Arnold came into his own. Irina Tereshchenko is just once again proving herself as the GOAT. She's so cool, by the way. I just enjoy her. She's just so fun. She's a straight shooter. She tells it like it is. Even though she told me my voice was too loud that one time in Newport.
She did?
Well, we were right on top of the court.
But that was while she was playing?
Not this time. They put us up and away. We were in the rafters.
Yeah, there's no way the players were going to hear you over the crowd where you were.
I don't know. My voice cuts through glass, Tyson. It gets me in trouble everywhere I go.
I thought I heard remnants here in California. I was like, Michelle?
Yeah. Where is she? Yeah.
It literally, you can see it. I can't whisper anything I say. Like I just have to expect that it's going to be heard in some capacity. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's not. But I'm just kidding. Irina's so just like the ageless wonder. She just doesn't her game doesn't level off in any way, shape, or I'm sure she appreciated the nice break. She really only had to play women's doubles the entire way through up until the finals. And then they were well rested and ready to go. But she's so solid and nothing rattles her. And it was fun too seeing her against Rafa Hewitt. They were obviously former teammates on BLQK for 2 championships together. Like it was like good camaraderie in the finals. But Irina to me was just a stabilizer. And then you have Catherine Parento, so solid in her own right. And her and Julian together, one of the things she said during the interview, she said that Julian's his energy is addicting. I like that. I thought that was very apparent too, because she doesn't strike me as a super spicy player, but I think when you're partnered with somebody like that, that brings out that passionate, fiery, competitive. Obviously, she's incredibly competitive, like everyone is when they're on the court. But when you're partnered with somebody that's bringing that tone every single point, it just elevates. You can't help it. And then Thomas Wilson, I don't think he was necessarily set up for success in the last team he was on last year. So maybe his game wasn't able to shine as bright. He was incredible.
Yeah.
Both he and Julian together were so good.
I think they were a steal. I think both of those guys in the draft were a steal. And I don't think you can't just,
they're in 4th rounders.
Yeah. And the duper number, while it does tell you a skill level, the skill level is always changing. If people are putting in work, plus you never know like how the energy is going to affect them in that crowd. Like that's probably the first time some of these players have ever played with that much energy surrounding them. And so that also you have to take it, like there's so many variables on it. And I think this team reacted the best to them, because you're looking at this team and you're saying, okay, who is the tippity top of pickleball on this team? It's only Catherine Parento. Like she's 1 or 2 most everywhere she goes. Irina's always in the top 5. And then Julian Arnold and Thomas Wilson are bouncing in and out of the top 5. So it's like, what was the X factor there? Is it Irina Tereshchenko? Because we saw the pickleball memes with the 2 scientists looking at the computer being like, oh, when it said team owners are now realizing that to make the finals, they just have to get Irina Tereshchenko.
She's the X factor. She is the Professor X.
Is.
Like she just orchestrates the X-Men. Right.
She's so fun.
So
Shout out to that new memes account, by the way. That
it's
hilarious.
It's so good.
time.
Big
so
fan.
Good. Yeah,
all the time.
so good.
I don't know. I think that's just it. I don't know. I even talked to Zubin Mehta, one of the owners. Drew Brees is also one of the owners too. I didn't get a chance to chat with him, but Zubin was there, and he was just like, everyone was a little like prior to them getting in the finals, they're like, yeah, we haven't even lost a game yet. We're just all kind of like, cool. Like, I think they obviously expected to do well, but I don't think anyone expected them to do that well throughout to get to the finals in terms of not even losing a game. That they were the only team that was untouched in that way.
A team that was full of 4 leaders that found their role and purpose on that individual team very quickly, and they knew that Julian was the lion and he needed a roar, and that Thomas is, he's the jaguar hanging in the tree that could pounce on anyone at any time, because these guys, both of those guys can be the alpha or be a guy that can just be consistent and take their time and let someone else take over, and so I think they all figured out that overall Julian was the guy they needed to let free and fly, and hey, we're at a party, let him just own the dance floor. Let him do his thing, because if we try to contain it, it's just going to be something that it's going to negatively affect our team, and you have to let Julian just do his thing.
That's interesting.
That's right. Yeah. I feel like people like Thomas Wilson or players like Thomas Wilson was a good balancing act to that. Like
100%.
He was steady.
Yeah. But letting Arnold do his thing. Because you saw Arnold move all over the court.
Yes.
He was playing 90% of the court sometimes not, but sometimes yes. And it seems like once he got into a rhythm, you just have to take a step off of the kitchen and let him move the full width of the court.
Catherine did a really good job of that in that one against Jesse Irvin, right? It was like Julian versus Jesse, which was insane. That back and forth
4 points,
was
right?
Incredible. Oh,
yes, you're right. And she, that was the first time I've really seen her. You play with her more, Casey. I've covered her several matches, but that was the first time I've seen her as feisty in that one as against Julian Arnold, who seemed to get a little bit of a rise out of her, which was so fun to watch, because when she's aggressive, she's unstoppable. Yeah. I mean, she's unstoppable anyways. She's so consistent. She doesn't miss.
I've been watching her for so long. I've never had a chance to play with her, but I always play with a Matt or a Wes Burrows, and they're talking about how smooth she is, but then how aggressive she can be. They're like, she is gnarly. Yeah. And that was so fun. That exchange between her and Julian, her getting the body bags and then Julian firing back and scoring and screaming. And then you also see what it's like, just like Anna, and then against Tyson, you see, if anything, there's this big alpha that likes to yell and scream. Anytime someone scores, Jessie went up to the net and was fist pumping, and her whole arm was over the net. She was like, yeah, right? Yeah. To Julian. And you're like, back. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it was the same thing with Anna against Tyson. It was just wah! And then they're all doing his thing with the chest bump, and you're like, that's so entertaining. And
do you like that?
It's so, exactly. It's so fun.
So I liked the Leah Jansen and the Lucy Kovalova exchanges. Did you notice those at all? Where I think Lucy hit like a net cord and then like celebrated, like did her fist pump in the air, her signature thing. And Leah Jansen like took the ball, and instead of tossing it back over to the server, she just hucked it as far away as she could on the other side, like, go get the ball. And then the next point, or another point later, Leah Jansen got the best of Lucy Kovalova and did the exact like mimic fist pump that the signature fist pump Lucy does. And I just thought like that was happening a lot. And I like that the players are actually embracing this fiery, like social exchange.
Yes.
In points. I think that when I play pickleball, I love to talk trash, you know, like somebody, if I hit a ball and somebody misses it, I'm saying, yeah, it's because of the spin I put on it. Like I'm taking credit for their mistake. Yes. And it like, you just,
it's not your fault. I do this to everybody.
Yeah, I do this to everybody. Sorry, I'm so good at this game.
Yeah.
That's another thing I like to say to people. If I hit a net cord, I'm like, sorry, I'm so good at this game.
Sorry.
Yeah, mine's so like, oh, good. All my early morning net cord drills are paying off.
Yeah, exactly.
I train that. I drill for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to have so many in the bag. It's fun because people start to find their identity, right? Because some you can tell that they're just mimicking what other people are doing. And you're like, I would always say like, oh, that's cute. Get your own material. Like, is this the first time you've been excited? You know, like you can start to like feed off it. But then you start to see them find their own, right? Their own kind of way of celebrating and interacting. And it's so fun. And you can tell, like you're probably leading to, they're all starting to realize that's very valuable. And I need to find that and let it go versus hold it in like tennis. Like, oh, I need to scream and then get right back to like my chores.
Yeah. I think that's like, that's a really fun twist of pickleball from the transition from tennis to pickleball. Like you can have a little more flavor in that way. Yeah. It's like a little more acceptable, a lot more acceptable to be like.
We're not throwing out red cards because even in our sport, if you scream and you're facing the opponent, it's a yellow card right away. You always have to turn around and face the other way. So it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves too.
Yeah. Everybody can be a John McEnroe to a certain degree.
And then there's some finesse.
I do like it. Do you think that we're going to see this more across all tournaments? The banter over the net. Oh, we saw it a lot here, and there's a lot at stake, and each rally counts. You know, because it's rally scoring. So is that same energy? Can that be brought to a PPA event?
I think so. I think for sure the athletes are starting to find, you know, the limit of the time frame that they have to be able to cheer, right? There's like a specific time frame that they know that there's like that pocket that helps build momentum, right? Or it's taking it away, even from the other team or from each other. And so I think teams are going to get better at that dynamic and finding their identity and knowing the nuances of kind of, you know, pestering or poking the other team because I know I can. And then certain athletes I don't because I know it makes them play better. I think that's just, they already do that. I think they're just going to be able to show us more. Yeah. Because of MLP.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's only just the beginning. And because this is now the baseline, it's like now there's emotions carried over from past matchups. Yes. You're going to have like these rivalries established between players that maybe weren't there before. And like that team aspect, again, I think anytime that there's team involvement, then you're taking on other people's baggage against certain players. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Like,
it's all compounding on itself.
Exactly. I hate playing her. Listen, I want you to hit her in the throat as much as possible. He's like, really?
Yeah.
Yes, like, do it. Yeah. It gets crazy.
Yeah. I think so. I think it's only just beginning. So as far as where we go from here, I'm just excited for the next event in Daytona in March. This one, I feel like couldn't have gone any better for a first event. And I know it was tough out of the gates. Like, you know, Christmas rolls around, New Year's, to get an event like this, of this level, together in a matter of 3 weeks. I mean, I know there was a lot more work put into it before then, but the draft only happened mid-December, and then here they had their first event come January, second to last week in January. So kudos to the Major League Pickleball crew and broadcast people for getting this together, because there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize. The score tables for all 6 courts. I mean, there's so much work that goes into these events. So
yeah, I used to go
it's
back.
impressive they were able to pull it off that soon.
I used to go back and
event.
sit with the crew that had built the scaffolding at our stadiums, and everyone who's like refilling the waters in the players' tents at every single court, like all the tournament director, like everyone behind the scenes, and you're just like, and then you go to the announcement booth, like the huge trailer in the back with 100 TVs, and you're like, oh, it's like the Wizard of Oz back here.
Yeah.
There's so many things going on that we don't know about, that we don't see. And then I always would go in and remind the rookie players, like, hey, stop complaining that there's not enough like peanut butter sandwiches or there's not enough like chips. Like, you understand how much is going on right here. Like, let's all be grateful that we have this opportunity, because on top of that, I feel like because the first one was so successful, which Tyson can probably add on to, is the location was prime. Mm-hmm. Arizona is a place where there's a lot of good pickleball players, and that facility is insane. So I think that helped.
Yeah, the facility was great. The organization there is awesome, combined with the MLP organization. And I also saw a lot of people come in, and like, you go to like a regular tournament where there's pros, you don't have a huge fan base comes in. It's like relatives of people who also played in the tournament and other players and stuff like that. Here, it's only pros. And the audience, sure, there's some relation to some of the pros, but like the bulk of the audience was just fans wanting to see these pros in person. And as you were walking in, you could hear people be like, oh, I can't wait to see Anna Lee Waters play in person for the first time. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to like, and so it was awesome.
We need that.
And my wife, who doesn't play pickleball, I took her on Sunday, and we sat down with the kids and watched in the stands. And I was like, let's watch a couple matchups, and then we can go whenever you feel like you want to go, Rach. And she was like, oh, I want to stay for more. I want to stay for more. I was like, do you enjoy watching this? She's like, I love watching it. It's crazy. I didn't realize it was so fast and so aggressive. And like the pros, like couldn't even have imagined doing with a paddle and a pickleball what these guys are doing.
Yes.
And I was like, that's the metric that we are looking for, is people who don't play pickleball love to watch pickleball still. And so I pulled one American, my wife, and 100% of everyone pulled that doesn't play pickleball loves to watch pro pickleball.
Yeah.
So according to the data, science says,
I don't know if the pool's large enough yet. I don't know what that number is, but I did enjoy
we're
hearing
off to
that.
a great start.
Off to a great start.
Yeah. She's finally. So she was surprised to see other players that play as fast as you. She thought you were the only. Yeah.
She thought I was the only one that could do that.
Like, I thought you were the only one that played this well.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Thank you, Casey.
Yeah.
I will send you a check. Let me make a note of that, because as we discussed before.
And your kids, Dad, they played just like you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. We'll put the bonus on there too on top of that.
Or now it's going to be, Tyson goes back to his home court, so they're going to be like, Dad, you're not as good as
Well,
Tyson
kids, I have to play slow for you. Look, he's already got it. He's already got it. Look, babe, I got to get you guys ready. I can't just play like a pro right now. You guys wouldn't get to play.
All of that.
Anna Lee Waters would never miss that shot.
Yeah.
And she's 16.
It is funny.
How old are you, Dad?
It is funny too, because my daughter, like, we watch pickleball at the house when it's streaming. I turn it on. It's like, growing up, my grandpa was a football coach, so we always had football on mute in the background on the weekends at my grandparents' house. I'm like that, but with pickleball. Turn it on. It's not on mute if Michelle's talking. Otherwise,
Right. Well, because you can hear her through mute.
Yeah, that's true. So
not even mute can stop this voice.
And we're walking around the venue, and we see
subtitles louder. What?
How? Anyways, we see Jesse.
Irina has the same complaints. She's like, I put it on mute, and I can still hear you.
Listen, we're gonna get Irina on here, and we're gonna settle this once and for all, Michelle.
I wasn't even offended because it was Irina. I was like,
Okay.
she's so honest. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you're like, I appreciate that. So
I gave her a
anyways,
hug after this one. We're great. We're doing great.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
She thanked us for our
that
hard
you are.
work.
I believe that you are. Irina's great. She's,
I love Irina.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
So my oldest, my 7-year-old, points to Jessie Irvin, and she's like, I've seen that girl with the buns play pickleball on TV. And I was like, yeah. And she was like excited about it. She's like, I've seen her on TV before. I was like, bro, daughter, I'm on TV a lot. You never show this much enthusiasm when I'm on TV. Like,
You don't look like Princess Leia, Dad. They can wield a lightsaber paddle and
I'm like,
dominate.
this is what I do. I'm like, being on TV is part of my profession. I'm on there quite a bit, and you can find lots of episodes of me.
She's like,
doesn't care. Doesn't
Yeah,
care.
you're okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Like,
It
have
goes-
you seen Survivor?
Yeah.
I'm the star of the show.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
But it's working, Dad. Having it on in the background on mute.
Yeah.
You know, you're grooming your next
Unless
generation.
Michelle's on.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really true, or you actually mute me? Probably too.
No, I listen in. I listen in if it calls for it, but sometimes the girls are like, Dad, how can you get to watch your show? And then I'll be like, turn it on mute and be like, it's just on mute and we're ignoring it. And then I'll watch while we're doing stuff. But
Yeah.
so it's like, I leave the sound on if I can. But if the girls are like, Dad, you watched pickleball for 2 hours. We get to watch SpongeBob. And I was like, no, you don't. This is my TV.
Yeah. Oh, you get to watch your TV. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big move.
What is that like?
That's fun.
Sometimes.
I just have a little one that's my phone, and that's my TV. That's the thing I get to watch.
Such in the Bible. That's
Yeah,
all I get.
exactly.
Full circle.
In the Pickleball Bible.
conversation.
Nice.
Pickleball Bible.
Should we end it there? Go ahead and go to www.pickleballbible.com
Yeah.
to pre-order your
TV Bible. Don't worry, I got you covered on voiceover.
Yeah.
You can't mute me there.
Perfect. I love it. What are we going to
Actually,
see in Florida next event? Are we going to see our teams out for like revenge? Is there going to be a huge shakeup? Are we going to see the same teams rise to the top again? What do you got?
I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to think. Well, no, I think we'll have a shakeup. I think there will be some trades, right? I think we'll see a little bit of movement
Maybe some
there.
trades, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
some movement.
I think the challenger level, we're definitely going to see some movement.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
At the premier level, I don't think we're going to see as much movement, maybe a little bit, but I think challenger level is going to be some shakeups. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like a lot of those team owners too maybe like wanted to start in the challenger to be like, all right, what is this about? Let's get a feel for this situation, and then now I think it's such an advantage once the redraft happens and the challenger teams get to go to the premier level after event number 3. They're gonna have such an advantage of like, all right, I've got a bigger strategy here. I got to watch one season of the premier level talent kind of go head to head. This is who I want. This is, plan A, B, C, and D. I think anyways, that's like maybe a little bit too big picture for right now, but that's as far as next event goes. I think if the Mad Drops are in a pool with, say, a Seattle Pioneers team, say, the New Jersey Fives, I think we don't have not to say that their pool is necessarily weak, but I don't think they would go undefeated next time to the finals.
Well, because they're going to seed
maybe I'm wrong.
it now based off of the results from this event.
Right.
So it should be more spread out then. And I think that's because my thoughts are, if the LA Mad Drops went the whole thing with only losing one game total, and they bring the exact same thing they brought this time, who's gonna be able to topple them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need more of a scouting report on them, though.
Yeah, I think all the teams are going to do a lot better job of navigating their strategy against the matchups that the Mad Drops have, right? Because nobody knew how people were going to play with each other or who was going to even maybe do well in singles that doesn't have a huge singles background, but some did better than others and others kind of struggled. I feel like there's a huge a lot of strategy that's going to be done with all these players. And then with all the matchups and it changing, right, because the new seeding, I think that will be a confidence boost for other teams. And then for some, they're going to have to put some work in. I feel like trying to repeat championship, like the Mad Drops, I feel like
that's going to be tough.
That's going to be tough. It's doable.
You're automatically the team to beat now.
Everyone's just looking at you, and that's all everyone cares about is you losing. Everyone. Every team's like, I don't care if we don't win as long as they lose. That's going to be the mentality. So I think they're going to have to put a chip on their shoulder and get real gritty and come back and just really work together even more as a team and understand that it's not going to be easy at all. It's actually going to be very hard, but that's the most exciting part is when you can go back to back. It's incredible. I went from barely scraping to semis and finals randomly till I picked up a partner, Jake Gibb, who was a 2-time Olympian. And then we went 4 straight wins in a row on the Pro Tour. And I was like, is this real life? Like, what's happening? How are we doing this? And it's because he was so laser focused on constantly getting better. And he always embraced that the grind was the most important part, not, the highs and lows of the games, but just the individual work on each point. And so he taught me how to do that. And so I could be a Julian and hit the dance floor, but at the same time, mentally really structure myself to continually perform. And that was a big game changer for me.
I think so too. I think because the margin of error is so small now, like last year, BLQK would come, it's like, okay, who's going to beat them?
Yeah.
But because like I wouldn't say every game they play, but I would argue that a lot of the games that they won were close ones too, and a lot of come from behind wins, including punching their ticket to the championship round. So I think these razor thin margins, more time to have a scouting report, and I just don't see them going 100% undefeated. And I think when you're the team to beat, like there's always going to be an upset there. Yeah, typically in my sports experience. Right. So we'll see. But that being said, who knows? Maybe the Mad Drops come marching back in, and Julian Andiamo Arnold can continue to up-level his performance the way that he did and prove everybody wrong. Says, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to have more ammo now that they heard this from you, Michelle. They're going to be like wanting to
I'm not saying they can't do it or won't do it. I'm just saying it's not going to be easy, and they're not going to get by not losing a game.
Yeah, and I think
that's the only point I'm making.
Yeah, and I think you did hit it on the head. Like some of those margins are so razor thin. Like some things could have gone either way, based on 1 or 2 rallies, and they ended up going another direction. And I think that in all the things I've ever competed in, there is a certain level of luck involved, and I think the greatest the people at the top have to recognize. I think the people that are the best at what they do, that don't attribute some of their success to luck, are missing something.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah, there's always that one match or one game where you're like, how did we pull that off? There's no way that we should have done that. And every
or even one ball that
won.
you just hit with your eyes closed, or just like took a swing and it
ref
just
makes
perfect.
a bad call, and you're like,
ref makes a bad call.
Yeah,
yeah,
always. Yeah,
and that's where I feel like the hidden measure of energy comes into play.
Yeah,
like in these kind of situations where it's like the unspoken vibe on your side.
Yes, you would just enforce your will. That's what I would always say.
The fifth teammate.
Julian Arnold had that. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Love it.
Who knows?
Well, I'm excited to see the next matchup. I can't come soon enough now. After watching this first one, I was like, we should have these at least every other week.
Seriously.
My voice wouldn't be able to handle it. I have literally extra rasp today.
Sleep for a week straight.
Yeah, what's the recovery time on that, Michelle?
I don't know, but I've got to go check my, have you seen Pitch Perfect? She's like, I have notes.
Yeah. Oh, no.
I'm kind of like, sad. Should I go get checked for notes? Because I feel like last night, you should have heard me. I was like whispering on the plane. I couldn't have any conversations, and my voice was toast.
Yeah.
Well, you've made a good recovery here.
Thanks. Thank you.
We appreciate
quieter
you.
Of a setting. I don't have to, enunciate and flex and all that stuff.
Yeah, good.
Keep all those, little streaming trolls at bay. Can only imagine what the comment section looks like. Casey, I would defer to you in church to be fending off any trolls.
I'm just defending in the live stream.
Yeah.
Hold on, kids.
Yeah. Wait a second. Somebody said something.
Hold on, kids.
Yeah.
My friend is being attacked.
Yeah.
That's the holy thing to do.
Yes.
It really is, Casey. All the time. You got to live. You got to live.
Thank you,
live like
Casey.
that.
I now designate you as troll fighter #1.
Troll protector.
Yes.
Thank you.
If you missed the action, you can find it on MajorLeaguePickleball.net. You can find it on the YouTube channels. You can find it everywhere. Follow Major League Pickleball on all social medias. And I think that's it for now. I want to thank Casey and Michelle for being here. And I cannot wait for the next event.
Oh, so excited.
It's going to be so fun.
So great. Okay. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
See ya.